Welcome to Audio Path, where we let you in on our experiences, insights, and real-life scenarios working in the music industry. I'm Trent, and I've been a studio owner and operator, a music venue owner and operator, and a musician.
And I'm John. I've been a mix engineer, mastering engineer, live sound technician.
And together, we've got 30 years of experience in the music industry.
Whether you're an artist, an engineer, or somebody who just really likes music, these stories are for you.
Come with us as we pull back the curtain of the music industry.
And let's take a walk down the audio path.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Audio Path podcast. I'm here with my co-host, John. I'm Trent. Thanks for coming back. You already know us if you are coming back to the podcast, and appreciate you for doing so. Today, we're going to talk about the ups and downs of the music industry. I think we kind of are looking at it in kind of two different ways, but they kind of fall in line with each other. So one way of like, what are some of like the high points that you can achieve or be excited about or look forward to in your journey in the music industry? And then what are some of the like kind of low points to be aware of that will most likely find you at some point, or it's just kind of like a heads up to know what you're getting yourself into, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And then on the other side of things, like John and I have been talking a little bit behind the scenes about what's going on in our careers, and we've come across this like reoccurring topic of kind of like ups and downs, but in a more of like a busy and then like overly busy and not so busy, or like feast or famine kind of thing, right? So like the high point of a lot of work and then the low point of not really having as much going on. And so with that, like I think the two topics are kind of related in a sense. And then with that, we are hoping to like maybe share with some things that we do to kind of overcome some of those low points and what to do during those moments that maybe you don't have that much work going on. And then also alternatively, how to, deal with having a lot going on, right?
Yep.
So
Totally, man.
Yeah, and this episode relates pretty well to a couple episodes back about our burnout episode, which we won't live there for very long, but if you're interested in that, check out that episode as well.
For sure. Yep.
So, yeah.
So ups and downs.
Ups and downs. Where should we start? Do we want to talk about the overall music industry kind of thing?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Cool.
I think to kind of give a little bit, just to finish the preface, there's no way around the fact that there are waves in this industry, not just audio waves.
Sound waves. Yep.
There you go. But there are serious ups and frankly, some serious downs sometimes as well. And in fact, our logo kind of represents that, right?
It does, yeah.
When we were designing it, it was kind of like that was the idea, is like find that middle
pathway through the ups and the downs, and that'll be your sustainable career, hopefully.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think from that angle, I think it's easy to look at financial ups and financial downs, because that's a simple one. It's kind of on the nose. It's you're either making money or you're not making money.
And it correlates, right?
Yep.
So.
But I think there are other things to talk about too, and of course we'll talk about the money side, but there are so many other things. We've talked a little bit about mental health as well, which is a big part of it, ups and downs there. Wrapped up in that is feeling like, oh man, like I'm crushing it. Like I'm making a career in music, this is great. And then other times feeling like, do I even know what I'm doing?
Yeah, what am I doing? Yeah.
What is this? Is this accurate? Like, is this right?
Is this for me?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and we've both been there, and it can be a tough thing when you're having a moment of basically self-doubt.
For sure.
Where something has happened, either you've had a project that you've been working on that's kind of gone sideways, or you're just in a drought or a famine moment where there's just not much work coming your way. And that can make you feel like, well, gosh, am I the reason why I'm not getting any work? And a lot of times that's not really the reason. And then that's evident on the upswing of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be prepared for those things. And I don't know. Why don't we, before we get into like the feast or famine kind of thing, why don't we kind of stick closer to the high points and the low points of like a general like career trajectory kind of thing.
Sure.
So-
Sounds good. Trent, I feel like you're probably the one to take us into that.
I can.
Yeah.
I certainly can.
Okay.
So I would say like we'll start off with a nice high point here. So something to look forward to when like it should be like a milestone in your book or in your career is when you first get your first paid project that from a stranger, not from like friends or family, or from your own band or your bandmates or whatever, but someone that you've obviously taken the time to set up your business in some sort of way, whether they just found you word of mouth or you actually have a website and they found you online, and this is, you know, someone outside of your orbit. I think that's a great milestone. Like it felt really good when I kind of hit that point where it's like, okay, you want me to work on your music, your project, because you've heard what I can do with these other projects, but you don't know any of those people. You just heard it and you liked it.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
great.
That's
It's
a pretty
wonderful.
sweet milestone.
Yeah.
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 Feels really good.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say, I mean, hopefully that happens to most of you early on, but that's one to take note of. That's a good one right there. Fast forward a good bit, continuing on down the line, and this one maybe could be overlooked, and I might have even overlooked this one a little bit myself. But like when you find yourself in a rhythm that you're working enough that like you're built like a clientele or a network that's consistent, and you're like kind of in a flow, and business is still continuously rolling on. Like maybe you're not full time with it yet, but you're starting to see that as like a possibility for yourself.
Yeah.
That's a nice milestone too. And then right after that, when you make that transition to full time in the audio world, is a really good thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great milestones, man.
Yeah.
Great milestones.
For sure. Working on a project with a band that actually when it's released, it's very well received. Maybe it gets a lot of attention, it gets a lot of plays. If you're fortunate enough to chart some of your songs, those are big milestones right there. Those are great things to have little celebrations for and feel good about yourself for doing those things.
Winning a Grammy the first, I have no idea what that's like.
Yeah,
but
winning a Grammy.
that would be a huge high.
That would be a major high. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Landing a cool artist, like landing an artist that has some notoriety to them, and them coming to you, or you somehow connecting with them through a network, and then y'all start working together. That's a really cool thing too. It's like, it's like, oh man, I think I've finally made it. And it's like, humble yourself a little bit, but you're doing something cool. So that's great, And you never know when those situations can come, and you're kind of building towards that all along the way. And I remember whenever that happened to me for the first time, I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
This is fun.
I remember the first time I did a live mix for like a true A-list talent.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge milestone.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this feels super cool.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about the high highs is that often they're kind of coupled with low lows, though.
They could be followed right after with that. Yeah.
Where you're like, is that ever going to happen again?
Yeah. Exactly.
Or did I do a good job?
Did I do a good enough job? Yeah. If you're not left with much feedback, which it happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not uncommon, then you're kind of like internally thinking to yourself, like, I hope that was like really good, but I guess I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
What did they think about it? Kind
Yep.
of situation.
For sure. Yeah.
But you got to watch out for those type of things, and just know that that's normal.
It is totally normal.
It's totally normal, and and even though like after I landed like a big artist that was like a household name to work with, like after that happened, I'm still going back to work with, local regional groups that have really great music, but maybe it might feel like a step back for some people. And I know in my own mind, I was like, okay, well, we didn't really launch too far in the career, but it's like, don't get caught up in that. Like, don't let yourself feel bad about that. It's like, it's never a straight line up.
No.
Right. You do something really cool, you're probably going to go right back down where you were. Hopefully something else cool happens. And then eventually the other cool thing that you thought was really cool there is here, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So.
And, we talked about this in previous episodes too, but, a career is not a one moment ordeal.
It's not defined by a single moment.
Yeah. It's about, who have I had the opportunity to work with over a length of time.
Yep.
That's really what it's about.
Exactly. Career highlights don't all happen at the end, right? You can have some really great moments and milestones and highlights early on in your career, in the middle of your career, or a lot, once it's a building process, so they will be concentrated closer as you get into it, but you can have some cool moments to just kind of come out after you've been in it for a year or two that are really sweet. Yeah,
totally. Yep. So obviously a career in music is not all highs.
Yeah. So let's talk
about some of the lows.
Yeah. Do you want to jump in on this one a little
bit? Sure.
Yeah.
Some lows. We all make mistakes, plain and simple. But sometimes a low is not even necessarily a mistake that you've made. At least for me. Sometimes it's as simple as, self-doubt.
Yes.
Sometimes it's as simple as, questioning things, letting something, letting something bother you that just really you need to just kind of like let go and just be like, no. Or more often than not, a lot of the low lows come from, for me, moments where I'm letting my work become a part of my identity.
Yeah.
And I think we probably, as audio engineers, don't talk about this as much as we should. But for me, I've noticed as I've kind of gone through some healing journeys myself, I wrapped so much of my identity in my early years as an engineer into I am an audio engineer.
Yeah.
This is what I do. I have to be on my game all the time. I have to have the best ears in the business.
Yeah.
I have to, whatever. And those are good things to aspire to, for sure. But you're also setting yourself up for the minute you don't hit a mark, the minute you miss a mark somewhere, all of a sudden your identity is impacted.
Right.
This whole thing you've built your identity on. I am much more inclined now to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm an audio engineer, but I'm also a human being.
Right.
That's just who I'm a person. I know who I am. I know what I like, what I don't like. I know the type of people I want to work with, the type of people I don't want to work with. It's really a know yourself kind of question when it comes to talking about those low lows. But some examples from my life, I can't remember which episode it was, but I talked about, developing, starting having panic attacks. Just like that's a low as far as my life and my career goes, really.
Right. They're intertwined.
Totally intertwined. They are. And so, that was a real low. That was accompanied again by a real high of like, I'm working on all this music and it's awesome and I'm learning a ton.
Yeah.
When I made the jump to full-time freelance and not like working for a church anymore.
Right.
There was some immediate highs. I had lined some stuff up, but there was a lull pretty immediately too.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, now I need to fit like the burden is now completely on my shoulders to network and to make calls and make sure I'm staying in front of people and all of that. And it was a little bit of a low because I initially had so much lined up where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is totally awesome. Like, this is great. I just get to, go mix for people full time now. But then it's like, yeah, but I also have to do the work at the same time.
Right.
It is work, staying in front of people, making sure people have what they need, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, kind of a low.
Yeah.
A lot of the lows for me tend to be either I don't have much work lined up, or they manifest in my personal life being like impacting,
Right.
or being impacted by my work life.
Totally. And vice versa, life is crazy, right?
It is.
Things that happen out of nowhere, curveballs in your personal life will creep their way into your business world without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Almost every time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard to separate that.
Yeah.
You do the best you can, but at a certain point, like, it's probably going to impact you, and you're going to have to find ways to deal with that.
Yeah.
And certainly vice versa. If things are not going well at work, I mean, you hope to not bring it home, but it happens.
It does.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean, and, there's no reason why it shouldn't. I mean, it's like we said, it's all intertwined there. So I would say the same thing, like moments where things are a little slow are like, kind of like, you start to get a little down on yourself there, like, why, or what's going on, or like, was it the last project that I did, or maybe 2 projects ago, or like, is the work not great, not as good as I think it is, right? I mean, maybe, but a lot of the times it's just coincidental, and it's ebbs and flows, and it's I've seen this, noticed it over the years, is like, I think there is some seasonality to this job.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a busier season and a slower season. And I think there's also like, could be little pockets of those all around the year that are shorter. But I feel like, at least the way I've seen it, the fall and the winter are busier than the spring and the summer. And that, to me, is the only way that I can really figure it. And I guess talking from some of the clients, is like, yeah, we usually write during the winter and stuff like that because we're not out gigging as much, right? Yeah. And then when spring comes around, like, we're hoping to wrap up the records and then hit the road to go on tour, and we'll be playing a bunch, so we'll need to just be rehearsing the material we already have, and we're not writing and recording as much.
Yep.
And that makes 100% sense to me. And so I try to keep that in mind. Like, if I'm in, peak summer, if like I have some light weeks or even a month or so that's like, not really doing too many songs this month. It's like, okay, well, that's because all my bands are out on the road, So keep that in mind. I think there is some seasonality.
Yeah, I think so too. I definitely think so.
Yeah. But what do you do during those to not make it so, like, if you know that that's the case, and like, we're working, right? This is our job. So like, try to keep a little bit of savings going on. Like, whenever things are rocking in the winter and you're bringing it all in and you're making good money and you've got a lot of work, like, try to keep some of that tucked away for, squirrel it away a little bit, right? For the summer, so that, you can maintain the same level of, lifestyle, and then keep the bills rolling whenever it's a little light, right?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect kind of dovetail into this middle path.
The middle path.
I think, because I think of it this way. If I recognize I'm kind of in a career high right now, I temper that with gratitude.
Yeah.
If I'm kind of like, I'm kind of in a little bit of a lull right now, I temper that with determination.
There you go.
That's kind of the way I think about it.
It's a good way.
So it's like, man, I am so grateful to be doing, and really I have gratitude through all of it, but especially in the highs, it's like, man, I'm so grateful to be out here, mixing for this person right now. Like, wow, what an incredible opportunity. This is great.
Yeah.
And that does a lot for like your mental health, but it also very much so kind of keeps you where you should be, instead of thinking like, oh, I'm the best. Like, right. I'm just absolutely awesome. Letting that ego get puffed up or whatever. It's like, nobody needs that. And you're not.
No,
so,
you're not.
So just stop it for a second and just be grateful for the moment that you're in.
Yeah.
On the other side, when I don't have much going on, I'm determined to find what's next. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so several things that I do when I don't have a lot of work are I always go to continued education.
Yep.
I'm always like, cool, this is a great opportunity for me to take some time, reinvest into myself, learn this program or piece of software or whatever or this piece of gear that like I really haven't sat down with yet and haven't fully learned. That's always kind of like where I start. But also and this is just kind of me, but maybe listeners will relate to this as well. In low periods, I also though take that and choose to make that time my creative time.
Yeah, that's good.
You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not, and sometimes I have to completely set aside the education piece for that just because my mind typically goes there and be like, no, I'm not going to learn this, guitar lick or whatever. I'm just going to sit down with my guitar and I'm just going to create.
There you go.
Or I'm going to sit down at my piano and create. I'm going to pull up, a beat maker and I'm just going to start making some beats.
See what happens.
See what happens, yeah. And truthfully, I'm not great at that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of preaching to the choir here because it's like I'm trying really hard to do more of that in the low periods.
Yeah.
But I find that the more of that I've been able to do and the more of it I've been able to incorporate, the better everything else
around
gets.
Gets.
Like everything surrounding it,
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Totally. So, but also, I mean, sometimes it's to a point where I need to what we were talking about, in several episodes ago. I need to carve some time out just to do that. I need to put it in my schedule anyway.
Yes.
Regardless of the ebb and the flow of what's happening in the industry around me.
Right.
I just need to really focus on setting that aside.
Totally. Yeah, and I'm guilty of that as well, and it's easier said than done sometimes, but like one thing that I like to make sure that I do for the studio is dedicate some time for the business, not the craft, but dedicate time to work on the business. Now, what does that really mean? Well, it can mean a couple of different things. Like I'll take apart the studio, not physically taking everything apart, but like analyze everything around and see what the systems are doing and like, is there anything that I've been hitting as like a little hurdle or like having to jump over that is kind of getting in the way of my creativity or my workflow, and try to smooth that out.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Look into stuff like that. Same thing on like when I say with the business, same thing on like the artist relations communication side of things and my emails and like my questionnaire forum system and my like estimating and quoting system, like all these little different systems that I've got that bundle all together into being the business. They all need a little bit of like attention and like fine tuning from time to time.
They do.
And when you don't have as many projects going on is a perfect time to do that. And then whenever the projects ramp back up, things are even smoother than they were before.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
I do that annually, guaranteed, usually at the beginning of the year anyway. But it's good to jump into that more often if you can. I'm bad about it, but I should be doing it more often. And times when things are slow is good to do.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
And networking is always a good choice too.
Yes, get out there.
The reality of doing what we do is, at least I'm mostly speaking from the live context here for myself, but if I am not feeding that pipeline and really trying to get things on my calendar, I'm not at a point now where people will consistently enough just call me up. I still need to be texting people, checking in, being like, hey, just thought I'd check in and be upfront with them and be like, hey, I've got some gaps in my calendar, looking to fill them in.
Yep.
Would love to work with you again. Let me know.
Right.
Let me know if you've got anything or whatever. And I think early when I was starting out, that kind of scared me a little bit because I was like, I don't want to seem like I'm too needy or whatever.
Right.
But it can come across that way, I think, if you haven't worked with the people before. But if you've worked with them, especially like 2 times or whatever, and they know your work and they know you're doing a good job, it's totally normal in the industry just to check in and see if there's a job.
Totally.
Yeah. Totally normal.
Yeah.
If you're, occupying more of the studio space, I mean, I think it's pretty normal too to just check in with bands that you've worked with before. Be like, hey, you guys working on any new music? Do you need any help with anything? Let me know.
Yeah, I'm around.
Yeah, I'm around.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. I do that from time to time. And, networking is a big part of what we do. And so, I'll see some of the artists I work with out at shows or at different things, and they might be talking about new stuff that they're working on, and they might be like, yeah, I think we're going to hit you up soon. And then that might not happen, right, for whatever reason. But if I'm conscious of that, I can be like, hey, I've got a little time here. Do you think you're ready for that? And they're like, yes, I've actually been, meaning to email you, and I'm glad you reached out, and that's a pretty good time frame. So let's lock it in.
Yep. Perfect. That's how it works.
So keep it top of mind here.
Yep. And when you do that, when you just kind of are an observer, and you see that somebody's working on something, or you hear them talk about it or whatever, that's what's kind of keeping you from hitting the famine of the feast and famine.
That's
a lot of the time.
Yes.
It really kind of helps you balance those things out.
Keep things rolling along for sure. And I think, and we talked about it in a previous episode about like cramming yourself too full of projects and like maybe saying yes when you should say no. But before you even get to that, like if you're really in tune with your schedule, you can plan things. Like you might actually be able to do the thing sooner, but you can maybe push it off like a week or two if it's not going to affect their end, really, one way or another for whatever reason, and leave that little bit of space in there. And then like you've already got one project for next month, and then something else will come along. And it's like kind of a domino effect. It helps you feel better about the future knowing that there's something there.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've done that before, and it's nice. It's like, yeah, I could cram this one into this month, but why? It's just going to stress people out. Let's put it into next month or the month after. It's not going to affect their release timeline. They've already got this thing planned for 6 months from now, and they're just going ahead and getting on with it, and that's great. So that's nothing wrong with that, you know?
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. What else do we got? Is there anything else on this one, you think?
Man, I feel like that's pretty much it. I will say this. We would love to hear from you, listeners, on your highs and your lows and whether you've experienced some of this. It can be as simple as just commenting on this episode, or, feel free to actually shoot us an email if that's kind of more your speed. You don't want to do that publicly, but we'd love to hear how you're approaching this, hear how you're kind of making your way through the highs and the lows, and all of that. We've talked a little bit about this in previous episodes, but some of this can also come down to, not just kind of riding the highs and lows in what you're doing, but it could also be evolving and adding another component onto what you do. Frankly, that's kind of how I became a video guy. Was, I had some lows, some gaps that I needed to fill in my work schedule, and took a job as a videographer and a video editor under a guy who was willing to teach me, and all of a sudden it became like a very complementary part of the music industry that I was already in. And so, don't be afraid to try stuff in those low periods too. And I'd love to hear if you've had that experience. Have you discovered that? That's how I fell into mastering too, Yeah. I was like, I really should learn a little bit more about this, and I had some time. So I filled that low period in with learning about mastering, and then all of a sudden learned more and more and more and more and more, and then it became like my thing.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
That's just kind of how it works.
Yeah, man.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reach out to us. We would love to hear from you, and try to build a little bit of a community around this and other episodes, and try to help each other out. So if you've got any other solutions that maybe we didn't mention, chime in.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. So
cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up.
I think so. Yeah. What are we working on, right?
Yeah, what are we working on?
Okay. I'll take this one first then. Let's see. So I've wrapped things up with Spencer at this point. Spencer Carlson, kind of rock, blues rock kind of trio thing, and it's been a lot of fun. We're getting it all out there, and yeah, I'm excited for people to hear it. I think it's gonna be cool. I've enjoyed working on the project a lot. It's kind of been right up my alley, and I hope other people feel the same.
Nice, man.
So
Cool.
yeah, that one's been really good. Beyond that, I'm working with this with a group called the Brown Dirt Cowboys. They are full disclosure, my nephew is in the band and
Love that.
brother-in-law, and they're awesome. I'm a little biased for that reason, but they have really good music. Definitely go check them out if you're into kind of like a indie rock with like a little bit of like pop, kind of like catchy kind of stuff going on. We're doing some more tunes. We did their debut, their debut with Zach, my nephew, and brother-in-law's record last year. And now we're doing some singles. And
Sweet.
yeah, he's got some new tunes, and it's been a lot of fun. So
Sweet, dude. Love that.
yeah, how about you?
Let's see. Just did a show in Winston-Salem. That was about a week long. Just a corporate show, so nothing too fancy. But the keynote speaker for this was kind of unique. He was a rock climber, and I'm a rock climber too, and so we kind of had a lot in common. But he also was a guitar player, so we had even more in common. And he did this one part of his keynote where he grabbed his guitar and just honestly shredded the national anthem, and it was just like pretty cool.
Wow.
Actually, like, and he tied it into the way he was doing things. And anyway, a lot of the time corporate shows are just kind of like, yeah, whatever, like cue the next video, you know, like fire the next stinger music, and you know, next panel comes up or whatever, and I'm micing up the next panel or whatever.
Yep.
And this one was kind of unique though. It was kind of fun, kind of different, and I really enjoyed it. It was good.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's good to get those that are like, you know, a little bit outside of the box, right?
Yeah, a little more fun.
There you go.
So
good deal. Well, thank you guys for listening or watching another episode of the Audio Path podcast. Please subscribe if you're into this kind of thing. Give us a like, shoot us a comment, send us an email, audiopathpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to talk to you. And until next time,
steady the path.
steady the path.